out with the possibility for maybe a couple tornado warnings. These, though, would be kind of like what we saw with the round a little bit earlier. These would be low wind type of tornadoes. They'd be the brief sort of spin ups that we'll be watching for. National Weather Service is even mentioning they're looking at maybe a little rotation in some of these storms. I will say the round that is coming in right now, and you probably got the alert if you're here in Franklin, Colbert, Lauderdale County, severe thunderstorm warning. That warning was issued probably a good 15 minutes or so ago. Well, storms are just now making their way across the state line on into northwestern Alabama. And the line itself, it's not super well organized. There are some heavier storms here. You see the one just off to the west of Cherokee and a little bit southwest of Waterloo. That one has a fair amount of lightning associated with it. And any of these storms, as they come on through, potentially, again, could contain some gusty wind, maybe some hail, although that likely is a little bit less probable that we're going to have large hail out of these storms, but it is something that we'll keep an eye on. So let's take a look here. I know there was a mention from the Weather Service about a little rotation near Tishomingo with the storm that we have back in that direction. So I'm just going to do a quick scan on this. I don't really see anything that's super concerning here in terms of any significant rotation. What you're seeing with the wind velocity, the color scheme, just a reminder, green is toward the radar, red is away. So what we're seeing ahead of the storms, southerly breezes helping to bring the moisture into the picture. And then the greens are toward the radar, and that's going to be your strong wind potentially associated with some of these thunderstorms as they are tracking on through. So that's going to be the main thing that we are going to be keeping an eye on out of these storms, is the potential for some strong wind gusts. Saw that a little bit earlier with the initial round that came on in, and we will have to watch here to see if there are any areas where there could be a little spin. But I do want to stress, like I did earlier, not the same weather setup that produced tornadoes on Tuesday. These are not going to be long-lived. They're not going to be what we would call cycling, rotating thunderstorms. It's not the same sort of setup for us. These would be some quick areas of spin that develop kind of on the leading edge of these storms that could produce a brief tornado, but not one of those situations where we're going to have something definitive to track for a long period of time. So these are just going to be, maybe a quick little spin, and that's going to be it. And I think in general, chance for that's going to be small. National Weather Service, they might issue some tornado warnings. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that were to happen. But again, it would only be for something that would be very, very brief and fleeting, and typically would be something that wouldn't be particularly strong. But let's kind of show you what we've got going on here. And there is pretty much a widespread severe thunderstorm warning that has been drawn in. You notice along this line, some elements are a little bit stronger than others. So some of you, you might get a good storm that comes through and has a lot of lightning, some gusty wind, heavy rain. And there are probably going to be some of you that are going to be like, what's the big deal? I'm in this warning and nothing's happening. So just kind of bear that in mind. And my expectation, and I think these are the sort of warnings that we are going to get from the Weather Service this evening. So this is what we've got now. Pretty well most of Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin County severe thunderstorm warning has been drawn out. But again, that does not mean that severe weather will occur everywhere along the track of this. But likely this is what we're going to get. So these storms will move into this warning area. Probably we'll get another severe thunderstorm warning that will be as large as this one that will be drawn out as well. And what I'm going to try to do is track the specific elements within the band of storms. They're going to pose the biggest threat as far as a severe weather potential, again, because it will not be as widespread as the warnings would suggest. And the other thing that I'm keeping an eye on, I'd be a little bit more concerned about a widespread wind threat if this was a solid line of storms coming on through and we didn't have these breaks. And we had the dark red everywhere, and there was lightning along the whole line. So the fact that we don't have that, I think will keep any sort of severe weather a little bit more isolated and spotty in nature. And a reminder for those of you that are watching here on social media, and I'll occasionally check the comments if you have some questions as we go along. But hopefully, if I'm doing my job well, I'll answer a lot of those as we go along. So let's kind of track this out and track the entirety of this line as it's moving in. Give you kind of a general idea when it's going to hit any particular spot. And again, some areas it will be a little bit more significant than others. Red Bay coming up here about the next 15 minutes, 13 minutes, crossing the state line there into Franklin County. We've already got some of the storms around Waterloo and a little west of Cherokee. Those will be coming on in across that western part of Colbert County. If you are in Florence, talking around 8:30, so about 40 minutes or so from now, right now it appears this line's moving east about 35 miles per hour. We may see it pick up a little bit of forward speed with time through the evening hours, but that's kind of the general motion right now. So if you're around the Florence, Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, Tuscumbia area around 8:30, Russellville around 8:37, and then into Killen, it looks like around 8:42. Beyond that, of course, it'll move across the remainder of North Alabama, and again, probably more of these widespread severe thunderstorm warnings are going to be drawn on up. All right, let's take a look at some specific threats here. First off, I mentioned hail. Maybe some of these will have it. Our strongest storm just outside of Waterloo, there is a hail core. So it's entirely possible maybe some dime, nickel, penny size hail, maybe up to quarter size out of this, although it's not super strong hail signature, but there is that is showing up. And that's the only place, at least right now, along the line moving on in, where we're seeing a hail signature. And that will be tracking in near just south of Waterloo, may stay just north of you in Cherokee, but obviously if you have a vehicle outside, might want to bring it in undercover just to be on the safe side. But at least we're not seeing incredibly large hail showing up out of this, and the hail core is fairly small. It's going to not impact a wide area. So keeping an eye on that. Definitely our strongest thunderstorm is the one moving in to western Colbert County. Quick look at the wind velocity here. Again, nothing that's really jumping out at me that's a problem. But probably when you start getting into some of these brighter greens near Iuka, here along Highway 72, that's some gusty wind. Maybe 50, upwards of 60 miles per hour, that will be a possibility. Wider picture showing of, and I'll change the radar up a little bit, is showing a fairly extensive line of storms. We've got the leading edge coming into Colbert, Lauderdale County. This stretches back through Tupelo and into parts of southeast Arkansas. You can see the severe thunderstorm warnings kind of lined up all along this. So again, just kind of get used to that. We're going to see these large severe thunderstorm warnings drawn out. Out ahead of it, there is just a little band of more scattered thunderstorm activity that extends from a little east of Tupelo, basically along the state line. Most of these are moving east and will likely stay just south of us, but some of those could be severe weather producers. So we'll mainly be worried about the part of the line that's entered the northwestern corner of the state in Lauderdale County, stretching back towards Tupelo. In general, this is going to be sliding its way off to the east, and again, bringing at least that chance for some severe weather along with it as it moves on through. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 11 o'clock. There have been some changes to it. I mentioned this earlier that we would probably see some areas added that weren't under the initial watch when it came out a little bit earlier today. This goes until 11. Basically, all of North Alabama is covered. If you're in Wayne, Lawrence, Giles County, southern Middle Tennessee, you're actually not part of the watch, but some strong storms will be possible close into where you are. Lincoln, Moore, Franklin County are included in the watch. A lot of this was likely from what came through earlier, which was significant. Remains to be seen if areas in Tennessee are going to experience storms that are going to be of the same magnitude as what rolled through a little bit earlier, and I think that may be a little difficult to do. And one of the things that we will be watching, particularly once storms do reach I-65, is are they going to be packing a punch or not? Keep in mind, southern Tennessee, Fayetteville to Winchester, parts of Jackson County, eastern Madison, over into DeKalb County. We had that initial big round of storms. We're not very far removed from that. That was just a few hours ago. So it's possible some of the energy in the atmosphere was kind of eaten up by those storms as they moved on through. And we've not had much of a chance to really see the atmosphere recover in these areas. Whereas out here in the Shoals, northwest Alabama, we initially had a little bit of rain that passed through some areas, nothing that was real significant, nothing that was severe. So the atmosphere out here in the northwest corner of the state, as you head west to I-65, may be a little bit more conducive to support some stronger storm activity. So again, we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Our current severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:15. And it looks like they are upping the warning to 2-inch hail between Waterloo and Cherokee. I suppose it's possible. We don't often here in North Alabama get extremely large hail. Golf ball typically is kind of the upper limit. Occasionally, given the setup, say, we had on Tuesday, there was the potential to see hail a little bit bigger than that, up to tennis ball size. But typically around here, in most cases, golf ball is about as big as the hail gets. So a 2-inch hail warning is slightly larger than golf ball. Again, as we look at the hail signature, it has gone up. So again, this is right here on the state line. This is going to pass between Waterloo and Cherokee. So we have seen a little bit of an uptick in the hail potential there in northwestern parts of Colbert County. So that is something we'll keep an eye on. But again, that's fairly compact zone where we're seeing that potential hail. And again, as we look at the wind velocity here, nothing that really jumps out at me. Again, if we had more of a solid line of storms, if this was all filled in about the same intensity, we have to watch a little bit closer for some of those little spin-ups. But being that we don't really have this as a completely solid line with a well-defined front edge, going to make it a little bit more difficult to see those spin-ups if something doesn't change here. Definitely the most intense storm, though, again, passing between Waterloo and Cherokee. You know that from all the lightning showing up here, and also from the larger hail that is showing up here as well in this particular storm. Let's see here. Okay. Looks like a severe thunderstorm warning for Marion County just came out as well. So that'll be for some of that activity there along the state line that's coming on through. So this cell has prompted a severe thunderstorm warning here back in Marion County. So this is going to be tracking towards Hamilton. Likely a hail threat out of this one as well. That's my initial guess. Let's take a look here. No, not really seeing a real strong hail core. There it is. But if it does the same thing that the storm farther to the north has done, we may see this hail core get a little bit more significant with time. So that will be a possibility moving into Hamilton, along with, again, some strong wind and obviously heavy rainfall, something that we'll have to watch as well. But again, our most intense storm, and really the one that has the greatest risk of producing some severe weather, we're going to track this out from, again, Waterloo moving into Cherokee. This will be headed pretty well right into the Shoals Florence, Muscle Shoals. It'll be there, Muscle Shoals, 8:27, Florence, around 8:30, so still looking at that same approximate time of arrival. Gravelly Springs around 8:11, into the St. Florine area, 8:38, the Underwood Crossroads area, around 8:40. And the two main threats out of this are going to be for some large hail and maybe the possibility for some strong wind as well with this storm moving on through. And again, to me, there's the latest scan coming around. This is going to be the greatest potential for seeing some severe weather. Lesser extent here southward, although starting to see a little bit of an uptick in the intensity of precip there east of Tishomingo. So we'll watch that. But again, definitely our strongest part of this line is what is moving in near and northwest of Cherokee up towards Waterloo at this time. Let me take a look here. Just check some of the comments on social media. Douglas wanting to know, what do you think about coming towards Ardmore, Tennessee? Again, it's just, we're just going to see this line come on through. So really, as far as any one location, I think everyone has pretty much the same threat. Largely, it'll depend on how intense the line is coming through your spot, but as this continues to roll eastward, again, some hail possible. I don't think that'll be real widespread. Damaging wind possible, again, maybe not necessarily as widespread as the warning drawn out would suggest, but there are going to be some pockets where we're probably going to pick up some stronger wind, 50, 60 miles per hour. You know, I wish I could tell you where exactly that's going to happen down the road. Just can't do that. We can do it kind of in the heat of the moment as the storms are moving on in and we're analyzing the data. But, you know, as far as what's going to move in, we'll say Rogersville or Ardmore down the road, you know, this line's going to come through, yes, but what sort of shape or form it will be in any one given spot, you know, we just can't tell you exactly what that is going to be, you know, more than a good 15, 20 minutes out from the storm actually arriving there. And keep in mind what storms are. You know, we track things, we say, okay, it's here now, this is where it's going to be. But keep in mind a storm is not a thing that moves from point A to point B. It does, but in the process of moving from point A to point B, the storm is a process. It's basically changing, evolving, either ramping up or ramping down. It's not just, you know, what it is right here does not necessarily mean it's going to look exactly the same or be of the same intensity when it, say, gets over here. So although we can kind of track these things out, you know, storms evolve and they change and their structure changes. So that's why we can't really give you precise information, you know, 30 minutes from now, what's this going to look like? Might look the same, could be worse. Maybe it will be a little bit better because the storm is constantly undergoing, you know, that evolution. All right. Let's take a look here again. And there will be some pauses as I'm doing this, just kind of looking at things. A little bit more casual when we're here on the streaming versus when we are active on air tracking, you know, tornado potential. So we try to keep this a little bit more casual in these situations. All right. So the warning goes until 8:15, I believe. Yeah, but the leading edge of I mean, we only got 15 minutes. It's not going to make it past Florence. So there'll be a new warning that'll be drawn up for this in the next 10 minutes or so. It's not going to make it to the edge of the warning box as it was drawn. But I suspect there'll be another warning drawn up. Again, most likely it will extend through this entire area. So would expect here in the next 10 minutes, National Weather Service will do another severe thunderstorm warning that will go from the Tennessee border all the way down through the southern Lawrence County Bankhead National Forest area. And again, it'll be drawn up from wherever this line is, probably at that point, it'll be just a little west of Florence. And that'll be kind of drawn out through that area, through East Lauderdale, down in Lawrence County. Probably will include parts of Limestone County as well. And again, most likely that is going to be what is going to transpire here. Again, what I'm constantly checking is, are there any areas of spin along this line that are noteworthy? And I would say for the most part, no, at this point in time. But we'll see. If the Weather Service sees something that they think is spinning, they're going to issue a tornado warning. So just understand that that may happen. You look for a couple visual clues here on the radar. Again, if this was a more solid line, it'd be a little bit easier to pinpoint. But if it was a solid line and we had little indentations and notches, yeah, I know we kind of have that here, but it's a little bit of a different setup versus if the line was pretty solid and you saw that happen. And what we also have to watch, where the line kind of surges out a little bit, that can also create some areas of spin, particularly on the northern extent of where that line surge occurs. So we'll be monitoring for that potential as well. You can see the line is getting a little bit more, flaring up a little bit more. Let me take you back in time. Here in northeast Mississippi, yeah, like I said, there were breaks in the line. But now as it's coming into northwest Alabama, again, maybe the atmosphere a little bit more conducive for this to organize a bit more. And you can see it's starting to fill in just a little bit. So that could increase the potential for some wind coming on through. Let me pull up our camera. Muscle Shoals. Just kind of show you a picture what this is looking like out there. I may need to adjust the camera. Bear with me just a second while I do that. And let me pan the camera around a little bit. Still a little bit to the west. But this is and it'll take a moment from the adjustments I've made for the camera to move here. See the lightning flashing off in the distance. There we go. So there's kind of you see the lightning there, leading edge of the storm. Maybe seeing some sort of what we call a shelf cloud that's often precedes these little lines or line segments of thunderstorm activity. You get, and some of them can be quite photogenic. So we'll be taking a look here as this gets a little bit closer. But definitely seeing an intensification trend here with our storm moving into western parts of Colbert County, Franklin County, western Lauderdale County. Take you back to the radar. Again, this is the wide view first. And you can see the heavier storms showing up here. Lightning's picking up a little bit there right on the Lauderdale-Colbert County line. And Again, I expect we'll have another severe thunderstorm warning that will be issued on this line coming through. And there's the closer view. Starting to get a little bit more of a solid line here, so we'll have to wait and see if that trend continues. And keep in mind, we're battling a few things. Of course, it's 8 o'clock now. Sun is down. The atmosphere will start cooling a bit out in this direction, so we're going to lose a little energy. Again, we lost a little energy earlier today with the initial line of storms that came on through. So it'll be interesting to watch this and again, see if this is able to get well enough organized here short term in order to overcome that drop off in the available energy as the storm continues to progress on off to the east. Again, they are working on drawing up a downstream severe thunderstorm warning. Again, probably, if I was a betting man, I would say it's going to run from the Tennessee border down through the Bankhead National Forest. It's going to include those areas. So it's going to be as large as this current warning is, just extending a little bit more to the east than the one that we have out there right now does. And quick look here along the line. You know, nothing rotation-wise that has me particularly concerned. Definitely see the wind shift taking place when you go from the greens to the reds. That's a shift in the wind, and you're seeing that along the leading edge. We're going to pick up some strong wind, 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. That is where it is going to be occurring. Again, on the leading edge of the storm tracking through. It's the latest scan update. Check out some of the other comments here. For that, I'm going to switch over to the Way 31 Facebook page. And we'll see what we've got. Mostly people checking in. Kristen asking about tornado chances. Like I said, tornado chance is fairly low. It's not zero, hardly ever zero. But I would say it's fairly low. Looks like that new severe thunderstorm warning coming out. Should have it pop up here shortly. This one goes until 9:15. Yeah, and again, this includes Lauderdale County, Colbert, Franklin, and Lawrence County. So it doesn't quite make it to Limestone County, at least in this particular warning. So again, new severe thunderstorm warning. And there you see where it popped up, what it includes. So this is the new warning. Previous warning expiring here in a couple minutes. The new warning will now take this from Rogersville to Moulton, and then points west to where the storm is. Most intense part of the storm, yes, here around Cherokee, quite a bit of lightning. That one's easy to pick out. And again, the possibility for some strong wind gusts out of this, I think, is going to be the primary threat. Again, we're going to watch here for any spin, areas of rotation. You know, I think that will be the least of our worries, but stranger things have happened, so we'll definitely be monitoring for that. Bring up another look here at the camera view. This is that shot from Muscle Shoals. It'll be a little bit difficult to see here as it's getting dark, but you see the lightning flashing, lighting up the sky. So there's a good bit of lightning in this storm. And again, this is kind of the leading edge, some sort of shelf cloud here at the very beginning. But again, because it's getting dark, we won't get the best view of it as it's coming on in. But yeah, you can definitely see there. I'm just going to step out for a second. You can watch all the lightning flashing with this thunderstorm as it's progressing off to the east. So it is quite electrical. As far as severe thunderstorm safety goes, just get in the middle of your home, building that you're in, stay away from windows. Anticipate that there could be some strong wind gusts, so obviously you wouldn't want to be next to a window. At the same time, because the winds aren't going to be incredibly high, 50, maybe 60 miles per hour, the main risk from any sort of structure damage would be if that wind caught a tree and pulled it down on the house or building that it stands next to. So that would be the main concern in terms of any sort of structural damage threat with these storms moving on through at this point in time. All right, let's get back to the radar. Weather Service is making mention that this line may lose some intensity as it nears I-65, so they're kind of thinking the same thing that I am. And hopefully that will be the case. If it is, then this is not something that will be a threat too late into the evening. In the latest here, you see the strongest part of the storm around Cherokee, maybe seeing perhaps a drop-off in lightning activity. Seems like there's fewer bolts showing up here than what it had just a short time ago. What I am watching, though, there's a little bit of a signature of some bowing taking place here in the line. Again, this would be south of Cherokee. That's where we could have some stronger wind coming through potentially. Latest check here on the hail. That hail core kind of disappeared. I'll show you what it looked like back closer to Iuka. There it was, right there. That's when it was most intense, where we maybe had quarter size or some larger hail, but that has very quickly faded. Again, storm rotation. Don't see anything that's particularly alarming to me at this point. We're keeping an eye on that, obviously, very closely. And with the new warning drawn up here, let me just make sure it's still moving the same speed. Moving at 35, so that is still correct. I'm just going to track this out. Pretty much moving east, maybe just slightly south of east. So here's when we expect the leading edge to get there. Some of you may see rain a little bit before that, but as far as the core of this line coming on through, when you're going to get the most intense rain, most frequent lightning, and again, possibility for some stronger wind gusts, this would be the approximate time to expect that. Florence still looks like around 8:30. So we are about 15 minutes away or so from this impacting parts of the city of Florence. That will include Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals as well. Russellville and Franklin County around 840, Killen around 845. If you are over in Lawrence County, Town Creek area around 902. The Hatton area around 906. If you're in Moulton, about 922. Hillsboro around 924 will be the approximate arrival time of this line moving through. Again, I would say the area of this line that has the greatest potential at this point of producing some strong wind is going to be here in Colbert County from Cherokee southward. That's where we may have the best chance for some stronger wind at this point in time with this storm coming on through. Quick look at wind shear here. Again, yeah, and that's kind of what we're seeing. I know this is labeled rotation. Rotation, when it is kind of a circle, when it's kind of drawn out here in more of a line, that's more of an indication of, again, some strong wind. So we are seeing that being picked up, analyzed by the radar, again, just south of Cherokee. So if we're going to see some stronger wind, I think this is the zone that it's going to be in, parts of Colbert County, and maybe extending down into parts of Franklin County as well. So that's kind of analyzing the radar data. That's kind of where it's drawn that out. And again, as far as hail goes, not really seeing anything at this point. Maybe some small hail, pea-sized hail, but nothing that is sizable that is being picked up right now with this storm. Quite a few people just checking in. Arab, Sylvania here, Fayetteville. One of my Facebook followers from my last gig in the Arklatex. Just kind of checking in. Folks watching from Henniger, Florence, Decatur, Addison, Hammondville. Philip indicating looks dark towards Cherokee. Yep, it is. Looks dark back that way for sure. Let me check my page. And that's about it. So this is what we got. Main line here, approaching Florence. You're still kind of in the middle of it. Cherokee, although you should see some improvement shortly. Russellville. Just kind of waiting for it to arrive, to have another heavier storm, severe thunderstorm perhaps, there near north of Hamilton. And we do have some more isolated development kind of taking place here, parts of Lawrence County, down into Winston County as well. Nothing that we're seeing here is particularly organized at this point in time. So with that, I'm going to step away for just a second. We're going to leave the live stream up here. Kind of put everything into motion. But I'll be back with an update here in just a few minutes. You can kind of see how everything is evolving and sliding east with time. And again, we got these new showers developing ahead here towards Moulton. Again, preparing for heavy rain, frequent lightning, small hail at this point, nothing that looks sizable. And again, the greatest threat is going to be that possibility for some strong winds that could be on the order of maybe upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. But I'm going to step away for a second, but I am going to hop back on here momentarily and have another update for you. All right, everyone, I'm going to give you another update here. And probably what I'm going to do, unless I've got some information to pass along to you, like damage reports, or we're concerned about an uptick in the severe potential, probably get every 15 minutes or so, I'll have an update, 5-10 minute update for you. I'll step away, be back with, again, another update. Again, unless we get something significant to talk about. Otherwise, I'm just going to be telling you the same thing over and over again. So let's see what we got going on. Again, the latest here with our storms coming on in. Just to recap for those of you that maybe are just now joining the stream, we have a severe thunderstorm warning drawn in the yellow box that you see here. The eastern extent of that is Rogersville down to Moulton, and that extends back westward to where we've gotten the leading edge of the storm coming on in. Main threat out of this is going to be for some damaging wind gusts, 50, maybe upwards of 60 miles per hour. So we are keeping a watch primarily on that. But within this line of storms, we are going to monitor for any areas, little areas of rotation that sometimes develop along the leading edge of these storms. That's really our only tornado threat, and it's going to be a pretty limited threat as well. Again, the greater risk is going to be for the possibility of strong damaging wind, maybe occasionally some hail. Just not seeing anything here along the line as I check it out that is particularly worrisome in terms of tornado potential, so that is some good news. Taking a look at the hail potential, not really seeing much out there. A little hail core close to Hodges. That'll be tracking towards Phil Campbell, southern parts of Franklin County, but in general, we're not seeing indications of any real significant hail at this point in time. There was a brief period back to the northwest Cherokee on the state line. We had at least a spike in the hail potential, but that's something that didn't last particularly long. Looking at the wind shear product, again, I think our greatest thing here, I know this is labeled rotation, but it also shows areas of potential straight line wind. And we are seeing maybe a little zone of that back here into parts of Franklin County. And again, that's where the storm is at its strongest at this point in time. You kind of see here, we talk about these, when a storm takes on a bowing appearance, like from a bow and arrow, and it kind of puffs out a little bit. That can sometimes be an indication of some strong wind. And again, analyzing the radar data, suggesting that we maybe are seeing that a little west of Russellville. But otherwise, not seeing anything too alarming with the storm moving on in. Here's the track on it, the leading edge of the heaviest precip and where it's going to be going. And we'll take this out a bit longer. As I fully expect, this line will continue across North Alabama, and there'll probably be some additional severe thunderstorm warnings that are drawn up for it. So Florence, slowing down a little bit getting to you now, coming in around 8:44, at least the core of the heaviest part of this line of storms coming in. Moulton a little after 9 o'clock, 9:18, into the Decatur area, and Athens right before 10 o'clock, which is when we'll be going on with our late news, and into the Madison area around 10:14. A little bit after that, of course, coming across the city of Huntsville. So that's kind of an extended track on this and when it's going to be rolling through. Not getting any reports as of yet that the storm has caused any damage. Pretty electrical. This is looking with our sky cam out of Muscle Shoals. You see the flashes of lightning off in the distance, kind of lighten up the front edge of the storm. Sometimes we just like to hang back and watch the camera for a bit just to see if there's anything interesting on the leading edge. Likely some sort of shelf cloud out there as the storm's moving on in. Of course, it's dark, not quite as easy to see it, but in between the lightning strikes, you can kind of see that structure on the front end of it. Shelf clouds are normally relatively, I don't want to say harmless, but a lot of times people will see them and are concerned about a tornado threat. That's usually not what we see in association with shelf cloud. It marks kind of the leading edge of the rain-cooled air on the leading edge of the storm, and it creates that a very unique shape of cloud coming on through. And many of those are pretty photogenic when you have good lighting and you can take a good picture. Some of those can be quite dramatic looking. But again, as we look at the picture here, just the lightning flashing off in the distance, nothing that I'm seeing on the front end of the storm coming into Muscle Shoals that is worrisome to me. So let's take you back here to the radar view. You can see the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have ongoing right now. Again, if there's going to be some gusty wind, I would say from south of Barton, so the southern part of Colbert County down into the northern half of Franklin County, that is an area potentially where we could have some gusty wind. Let's see, report of a wind gust in Cherokee as the storm moved through, 45 mile per hour. So that's respectable, not necessarily a severe wind gust, but something like that. Blow the patio furniture around. If you do have a weakened tree, maybe a dead or dying tree, yeah, that could bring it down or at least knock some branches off of it. But in general, that is not going to cause too many problems. Just a pretty big gust of wind coming through. All right, let me hop on social media real quick. We did have a few questions here, so let me tackle those. Since I was last on. Question, after it comes through Muscle Shoals, are we done for the night? Yes. So this will be it. So we had one round of storms that came through a little bit earlier, mostly areas along the Tennessee border, and then eventually into parts of Jackson, DeKalb County, felt the brunt of that. This will be the second and final line that comes on through. So once this heavier rain and lightning and gusty wind comes through, that's going to be it. There'll be some trailing rain behind it for a little while afterwards, but as far as the severe weather threat, severe thunderstorm threat, it's what we've got out there right now on the leading edge. So once that comes and goes, that will be done. Bonnie wanting to know Lawrence County, we're looking at with the storm, again, the potential, primarily at potential for some strong wind, 50, 60 miles per hour. We will watch leading edge of this line for any areas of spin, just have not been seeing that, and I think that's because the line itself is not incredibly well organized. I mean, it's packing a punch, but we don't have, a very sharp change in the precipitation pattern where we go from no rain to very heavy rainfall. That would be something that we'd be looking for in any areas of spin along that. So we don't have that. So I think the main threat that we're going to see out of this line of storms coming through, winds, again, Cherokee, 45 mile per hour winds. So we'll say 50 to 60, kind of worst case scenario wind-wise. If this does get a little bit better organized, that threat for some higher wind speeds would increase. But right now, I'd say worst case scenario as this blows through any given spot within the severe thunderstorm warning area would be some winds gust 50, maybe up to 60 miles per hour. That's probably going to be the worst of it. All right, so that's my page. I'm going to switch on over on Facebook to the Way TV page, where we're also live streaming. And by the way, just a reminder about live streaming. Now, right now, I'm only live streaming on social media. I'm not streaming on our news or weather apps at this point in time. Typically, if we were in wall-to-wall coverage, we'd be streaming on there as well, in addition to social media. But Facebook and also the Way 31 YouTube channel, primarily, if you're looking for live weather coverage in a non-tornado situation, those are places where you can usually find it. Occasionally we would be live streaming on our news and weather apps as well, especially in higher end situations. All right, let's see here. Over to the Way TV Facebook page. Waiting for the comments to load up here. Okay, Vicky wanting to know the northeast corner of Alabama. I'm anticipating for those of you that were under warnings earlier, whether that was severe thunderstorm warning or even those tornado warnings earlier in the northeast corner of the state, those earlier storms had kind of sucked up a lot of the juice in the atmosphere that was in place over here. And even though those storms have been gone for a few hours, the atmosphere really didn't have a chance to recover. So my general expectation is that these storms will probably continue to hold their own until they make it to about I-65. And at that point, they're going to start basically feeding off of an atmosphere that was overturned a little bit earlier by the storms that moved across the northeast corner of the state. So basically we're, not that I think we have, 93 unleaded gas here for the storm to feed off of, but relatively speaking, we here 93, over here it drops to 87 or lower. So you're going from premium fuel, relatively speaking, to just a plain old variety of fuel, and even maybe less than that. So my expectation is as these storms come eastward, they're likely going to have trouble keeping the current intensity. I mean, that's not guaranteed, but just in general, in my experience, that's likely what we can expect as these come eastward. So I think here between now and 10 o'clock, highest chance for seeing some severe weather is going to be I-65 westward, and that threat will likely start to drop off as this line moves east of I-65. We're already starting to see a drop off here on the northern extent. The severe thunderstorm warning that had been in effect all the way here to the Tennessee border looks like they've trimmed it back. So what is coming into Florence right now a little bit weaker and less likely to produce severe weather. I think we still have a threat, again, for those stronger winds into eastern Colbert, eastern Franklin County. That will be moving into western parts of Lawrence County as well. So let's see. So the update, again, kind of removed a little bit of Lauderdale County. It does continue for other areas, severe thunderstorm warning until 9:15. But again, they drop part of Lauderdale County out of that warning. So let's kind of, with the update, let's kind of track things out. Heaviest part of the storm, again, now a little east of Barton, coming into the Sheffield, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals area, basically going along 72 now, and of course that turns into alternate 72, Alabama Highway 20, as you get to the big intersection here in Muscle Shoals. And then the leading edge of the storms here in Franklin County, Russellville, you're kind of in the thick of it right now, but that leading edge potentially could have some strong wind. And other strong thunderstorms just a little south of our coverage area, but in and around Haleyville, point southward on the Marion-Winston County line. Again, possibility for some strong winds showing up here as well. The only report we've gotten was a 45-mile-per-hour wind gust that occurred in Cherokee at a weather station there in northwestern parts of Colbert County. So let's kind of track this out. Do that first, and I'm going to look at some other information. We'll track this to basically Highway 31 in Limestone, Morgan County. Muscle Shoals, again, coming through in the next couple minutes, basically rolling into town as we speak. Leeton by 8:59, Hatton 9:09, Moulton around 9:20, Speak until 9:30, Trinity 9:41, Decatur 9:51, Hartselle 9:54. If this trend that the northern part of the line starts to lose its punch a little bit, you may just end up with some rain, maybe some wind gusts, 25, 30 miles per hour in Athens, and a little bit of lightning with the heavier stuff maybe staying a little closer to the Trinity-Decatur area as this moves through. I'm going to do a quick look here just to make sure that nothing is spinning in these storms. That is of a concern. Certainly the northern extent of the line, we're not seeing any potential for that right now. Down into Franklin County, a couple areas we'll watch, but again, even here, what we'd be looking for in these sort of situations is the green and the red kind of right next to each other. That would indicate what we call a velocity couplet, and we're just not seeing it. In fact, the separation between the green and the red colors here, green as a reminder, winds blowing toward the radar, the reds are away. We've got even a little bit of separation for the most part with some gray color in between, so nothing that I'm seeing that's catching my eye as being any sort of threat for rotation. So again, with that, kind of expand the view here. Again, this is going to be it. Once this moves through, you're done. So, hey, we can give you all the all clear. Waterloo, Cherokee, done. Still going to rain for a little while. No other severe weather is expected to move on in. Similar situation if you're out towards Red Bay. So once this main band of heavier rain, lightning, thunder, and gusty wind moves through, that's going to be it for you. So again, we're just going to let this loop. Let me, just one last quick check here, social media-wise. Brandy wanted to know about approximately what time Huntsville. I would say for Huntsville, it's, some of this activity may come in first that you see here from the Cortland area to Moulton. So some of that may come on through first. But as far as the main band, when that's going to reach Huntsville, it's likely going to be 10:15, 10:30 or so before that rolls on in. In fact, let me do just a long-range track on this. Hopefully that will answer some of these questions about what time. Again, there could be some initial heavier showers that move through, but as far as the main line, that is what I'm going to be tracking here. And bear in mind, this will likely lose its punch as it moves east I-65, especially once it gets into Sand Mountain, where we had earlier storms kind of eat up some of the energy in the atmosphere. So Trinity 9:40, Decatur around 9:52, Madison around 10:15. Huntsville, this would be downtown. This would be downtown, so it'll hit the west side of town first. But downtown around 10:30, so that's when we generally expect it. New Hope around 10:48. But again, as this comes eastward, a couple things. Number one, we're already losing daytime heating because the sun is down, atmosphere starting to slowly cool off. And at the same time, this is going to be hitting an area in the northeast corner of the state that got raked pretty good by storms earlier that packed a punch. Had some severe thunderstorm warnings, some tornado warnings, some trees down. So again, that earlier activity east of Huntsville kind of ate up some of the energy in the atmosphere, and I suspect we've not really recovered over there. So this line will likely lose some of its punch, if not a lot of its punch, once it begins to head east to I-65. But until it gets there, again, we're looking at the threat for primarily strong wind gusts, 50, 60 miles per hour, I think would be at this point the high end. I've not really been seeing a whole lot of hail out of the storm, so I think relatively low chance for large hail. And again, we'll watch for these quick little spin-ups. I think the chance for that is fairly low. So let's see. Okay, so I think that answers a lot of the what about here questions. So with that, again, I'm just going to step away for a few minutes, catch my breath. I will leave this on a loop. Didn't mean to do that. Leave this on a loop, and I'll be back about 10 minutes or so with another update. Trevor, you about to record? Yeah. Okay. Then this will work out well. We're about to actually record some sports stuff here in the studio, so I will be back with y'all with another update in just a few minutes.
Hello, hello, hello. Mic check. 1, 2. SEC report. Hello. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. What's up, North Alabama? Later this morning, we'll find out the full NCAA baseball tournament bracket. But last night, we already learned which teams will be hosting regionals, and Alabama and Auburn were waiting on pins and needles for this. The Tide thought they did enough to earn a top 16 seed, but they do miss out on that right, likely putting them in as a 2 seed in the bracket. On the other hand, Auburn will get to host some tournament games at Plainsman Park. This will be their 3rd time doing so in the last 4 seasons after missing the tournament altogether in 2024. NCAA regional play starts Friday. Incredibly, 8 of the top 16 teams will be from the SEC. That includes Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, who faced off in the SEC title game in Hoover, who would become the first winner of this new 16-team single elimination format. Vanderbilt dominated Tennessee 10-0 in the semis to get to this point, and the Commodores continue their impressive postseason so far. Brody Johnston hits a big fly in the bottom first, nothing like a 2-run shot to get your day going. The Doors go yard again in the 5th. Jacob Humphrey exits the Hoover Met Field to put them ahead 3-1. Top of the 9th, Rebels trying to rally. Isaac Humphrey at the plate. No relation to the guy we just saw, but they are related in hitting dingers. That gives Ole Miss some life down 3-2. The Rebels got runners on first and second, but the Commodores leave. Both of them stranded as they win their second SEC title in the last 3 seasons. So the SEC will be heavily represented on the road to the College World Series. The Women's College World Series field also dominated by the Southeastern Conference. You got Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss all making the trip to Oklahoma City. So that's 5 of the 8 teams in the field, all from one conference, and that ties the all-time record. That'll wrap up this SEC report.
All right, everyone, back with an update. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued basically downstream from our current warning, so this takes into the rest of Lawrence County, about half of Morgan County to I-65 points westward. That includes your Falkville, Hartselle, Decatur, and Limestone County included. The warning drawn up just south of Athens, so this would include Tanner and points southward primarily. What we are seeing, fairly organized line of storms continue to push through the area. Let me go ahead and stop the loop here. And really we're seeing a little bit of a surge in this part of the line going across Lawrence County. So that could be indications of some stronger wind. Most of this going through Bankhead National Forest, but you folks in Moulton just kind of get ready. You may be seeing some strong wind coming through town as this storm kind of surges in that direction. Again, if you're back here towards the state line, severe weather threat has ended. Russellville, for you, it's in the process of ending. Florence, Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals, just give it another 15 minutes or so, and your severe threat will be over with. And again, that all the way to the state line. We're watching the leading edge of this line of storms coming on through. Most intense part, I think in terms of a wind threat, is likely what we have ongoing across parts of southern Lawrence County. So let me show you the latest track on all this. We'll track kind of the leading edge here and where it's going, mostly pushing off to the east. Take this into Madison County as well. Moulton, again, it's bearing down on you. The Speake area, I remember someone asking in the comments about Speake. 9:17 is when that will be arriving. Hartselle around 9:41, Decatur around 9:52 or so. The Baileyton area 10:11, Madison still looks like a quarter after 10 or so, and then a little closer to 10:30 when this will start moving into the west and central parts of the city of Huntsville. 72 kind of looks like the dividing line to the north. Probably no severe weather to the south. There's going to be a chance. And again, we're especially watching what's moving through Lawrence County as that is looking like a potential strong wind threat coming on through. Let me clear off the track. Again, keeping an eye for any sort of spin in the atmosphere along the leading edge, just not seeing that showing up here. That's a concern. But you do see the red color here, that's blown away from the radar. We're using the radar right now in Columbus, Mississippi, and you can see the leading edge of that gust of strong wind coming out on the front side of that storm, again, approaching you folks in Moulton. There is going to be the possibility in some of these areas as this line moves in, upwards of 50, maybe 60 mile per hour wind gusts. I think that will be it at this point in time, although we'll have to watch here. This is fairly stout. Again, push of wind going across Lawrence County, but in general, I would say the threat's mostly confined to 50 to 60. Not seeing any significant large hail. There is a little bit of a hail core southeast of Haleyville, but that is just outside of our area. So this storm is mostly producing lots of rain, lots of wind in some cases, lots of lightning, maybe some small hail, and that's kind of the extent of the hail threat. And again, looking at what we call the rotation product or wind shear, no areas really jumping out. Doing a different analysis of the radar data to help us pinpoint either places of very strong wind or rotating wind, and at least here with this latest scan update, it does not appear that there is any of that out there to be concerned about. So again, this is kind of what we're dealing with right now. Kind of expand the view and show you this is it. Storm intensity really drops off as you head north of 72. And then back to the west, there's going to be some trailing stratiform rainfall that will follow the main line of storms, but not expecting any additional severe weather threats. So once this comes through your area, that's going to be kind of it. One of the other things we're seeing happening is spots of other showers kind of developing ahead of the main line. Sometimes that can interfere with the organization of a line like this, sapping Also, some of the energy just ahead of the main line, so we'll see what happens with time. As we've been talking about, I really think when this hits I-65 and starts to move east, it's going to run into stable air here from earlier storms that moved across the northeast corner of the state. So that may really help to limit severe weather potential, again, once this gets a little east of I-65. But for now, there does remain that possibility that this line could produce some strong wind gusts as it's coming through. We're maybe even starting to see, because all this activity around Moulton that's developing over towards Hartselle, starting to interfere with the organization of the line itself. And hopefully that is a trend that will continue. They are talking about if the counties in southern Tennessee that are under the severe thunderstorm watch perhaps can be canceled earlier. And again, that's because it appears there's kind of a cutoff here along US 72 from Lauderdale into Limestone County. And to the north, there's just not anything super strong. Mostly we're seeing that stronger threat off to the south. So that would mean those counties in southern Tennessee, Lincoln, Moore, Franklin County that are still in the severe thunderstorm watch perhaps may be dropped because of a reduced threat and the expectation that nothing strong may develop up in that direction. As it stands now, our severe thunderstorm watch for far northern Alabama goes until 11. A new watch did come out for areas to the south, basically picks up around Birmingham, goes down to Montgomery. Severe thunderstorm watch for that central part of the state, I believe it goes until maybe 3 in the morning, I think is what I saw. So as I show you kind of the bigger picture here, North Alabama is kind of at the northern extent of any severe weather potential. This is the wider view here. And you can see where the severe thunderstorm warnings are lined up. Mostly here across parts of central Mississippi, right on the Arkansas-Louisiana border. All this is going to continue to develop south and eastward. So Birmingham to Montgomery, we'll start to see more active weather as the evening wears on. And we're kind of at the northern extent. You head to Nashville, they don't have any problems up there. And again, there's kind of a drop-off in the intensity not too far south of the Tennessee border here for North Alabama. So what we are expecting is that what we have in place right now will continue to move east. This part of the line where we have the other warnings here west of Birmingham, not too far from Tuscaloosa, that part of the line will continue to head on off to the south and to the east. And what we may be seeing here, you see this little band of showers stretching from Atlanta and then kind of arcing along Interstate 20 and then meeting up with I-65 and kind of feeding into this northern part of the line. These have likely developed along the rain-cooled air from the earlier round of storms that came across southern Tennessee, northeast Alabama, and into North Georgia. So that sent out a boundary, what we would call an outflow boundary of rain-cooled air, and that's kind of set up around I-20. So again, that kind of tells me here in the northeast corner of the state, atmosphere is relatively stable and may not be able to support additional severe weather as this line, the northern part of it, continues to head east of I-65. So we're kind of hoping that that's going to be the situation, and this is not going to be another round of severe weather, particularly for you folks here, Jackson, DeKalb County, who were under severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings a little bit earlier. I think there's a reasonably good chance that, again, as the northern extent of this line, and we are it here in North Alabama, as that goes east of I-65, we may kind of see this fall apart by a good bit and perhaps just become a rainmaker at that for the remainder of this evening and on into the overnight hours. Let me take a quick look here. Nothing new from the Weather Service. Let me change the radar perspective. Run down the warnings that we have. We have one severe thunderstorm warning, the one that comes to Moulton, expiring in the next 5 minutes, and then our warning downstream from there, which wasn't drawn out real far. And I think that maybe has to do with the fact that these storms may weaken as they continue to press closer to I-65. But that severe thunderstorm warning that includes southern Limestone County, western half of Morgan County, parts of Coleman County as well. That one goes until 9:45, and we'll see if it's extended beyond that time frame. In the meantime, again, probably going to take just a little quick break here, but let me check comments real quick. Again, we are looking at the possibility for some winds 50 to 60 miles per hour with the main line coming on through. That is the greatest threat. Not really seeing big hail, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. There's going to be heavy rain, there's going to be frequent lightning, but again, our biggest concern appears that it is going to be the possibility for some strong wind gusts, 50, 60 miles per hour, potentially. We've been monitoring for any sort of little spin-ups along the line. Since the line's kind of ragged here on the leading edge, it's not a solid line. Again, we're starting to ingest some other showers developing out ahead of it. Not a real well-defined front edge like when it was farther to the west, back into parts of Colbert, Franklin, and even into Lauderdale County. We're going to continue to watch here, see if there are any potential areas of spin, but I think the chance of that's going to be pretty low. So, although I won't say the tornado threat is zero, and we may yet get a brief spin up, I won't totally discount that possibility. I also think, just based on how this activity is evolving, pretty low likelihood that that would be a concern. Let me run through comments real quick. Let's take a look here. See what we got. Okay, most of those I answered the last go around. Go to the Way TV page. Take a look at those. All right, let me go back to my page. So again, there's a reasonably good chance that we may see this threat start to wind down sooner rather than later. All right, no comments over here to answer. So again, with that, I'm just going to step away for a few minutes. I'll be back in okay, they are going to be taking the Tennessee counties out of the watch, so that's good news for you folks, Fayetteville to Winchester. You're being dropped from the watch. Let's see, report of some power outages and trees down in the Mount Hope community. That's in western Lawrence County, west of Moulton, so some reports there. That's also, at least a short time ago, where it looked like we probably had the strongest wind. That maybe has not maintained itself. So with that, again, just going to step away for a second. I'll be back with another update. Officially, severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45 for areas south of Athens. It does include Decatur and extending down to Coleman and points westward. Basically, again, this heavy line of storms going through Moulton as we speak. But the leading edge of this is starting to lose, I think, its punch and lose its definition a little bit. And if that continues to be the case, we may limit the overall severe weather potential as we hit mid-evening and head on into tonight. So that would be some good news. Again, I'm just going to step away for a few minutes, but I will be back with another update. And if some important new information comes along before I step back on the screen, obviously I'll be back over to talk about that. All right, everyone, back with another update here as we do have some strong thunderstorm activity coming across the area. Severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45. That is for the storm that is now moved out of Moulton. It is moving into Morgan County, bearing down on you in Decatur, Hartselle area, down to Falkville. Heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, some potential for some strong wind out of this. It's a little bit less organized, but still the possibility it may generate some strong wind across primarily Morgan County as it continues that trek on off to the east. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning that was issued as well for Coleman County. That's for the storm coming out of Winston County, basically from Coleman southward included in that. And again, severe thunderstorm warning for Morgan, Limestone, and parts of Lawrence as well as Coleman County. That continues as well. Let's get you caught up on the latest information here. Storm is looking less organized. It's got heavy rain. It's got some gusty wind, but it's kind of losing its organization a little bit. Main area where we could have some stronger wind is here in western Morgan County. This is continuing to head on off to the east. So areas the most likely to be impacted. Decatur coming up shortly. The Hartselle area, it's kind of right on top of you right now. Somerville by 9:44. Lacey's Spring around 10:06. Arab around 10:13. The Owens Crossroads area around 10:23. Gunnersville around 10:32. It appears we continue to see the northern extent of this line weaken, sag a little bit more to the south. So Athens, the worst of this is going to miss you. You're going to see some rain, maybe hear some thunder. That's going to be about it. If you are along 72 going into parts of Madison, northwest Huntsville, the worst is probably going to stay just to your south. We may yet get some heavy rain and gusty wind again coming through Decatur. That would extend over towards Belmina, the Mooresville area, parts of Madison, maybe into South Huntsville, and also basically the remainder of Morgan County, headed on off to the east. So Lacey Spring, the Somerville area, again, Eva, seeing that possibility as well. We're still anticipating, and again, maybe even already starting to see this, as this storm's approaching I-65, it's starting to lose its punch a little bit. Earlier today, we had the rain and storms, northern Madison County, Jackson, DeKalb County. That sent out a rain-cooled boundary, kind of stabilized the atmosphere. Those earlier storms ate up some of the energy that was in place over here. So as this line comes in, may find itself in a less favorable environment to really sustain itself and be a continued severe weather threat. So we're anticipating that may indeed be the case. We've also seen developing out ahead of this other areas of showers and thunder showers, and I think that's kind of disrupting the overall organization of this as well. I'm not seeing anything that's a concern to me in terms of a tornado threat, just not seeing it with this storm. I've been looking at it from a couple different viewpoints. What we are seeing is perhaps a couple pockets of some stronger wind just southwest of Decatur, a little southwest of Hartselle. There's nothing in here that appears to be rotating wind. So tornado threat, really, I'm not concerned unless something dramatic changes here with what we are seeing. The wider view, showing what we've got going on. We've got this band of storms moving through. Back behind, we've got rain and thunder. There'll be an extended period of some steadier rain, and there'll probably be a little rumbly out there as well. But if you're here in the northwest corner of the state, if you're in Franklin, Colbert, Lauderdale County, severe threat's over with. Nothing else is going to come in behind this. So this main band of heavier storm activity, that's it. And so once that comes and goes in your location, you're good to go for the rest of tonight. And again, it appears there's going to be currently a drop-off north of Highway 72. So that's why areas in southern Middle Tennessee, Lincoln, Moore, Franklin County, you were dropped from the severe thunderstorm watch. And it's possible when we get an update here, maybe right before 10 o'clock, we might see some of those counties out in the northwest corner of the state drop from the watch as well. And again, in general, even though the watch continues, and I'll show you where it's located, I think these storms are going to struggle as it comes east. It's going to struggle to really maintain itself. That rain-cool boundary likely is what is the initiation point for this band of showers that you see from south of Gadsden, so Anniston, and then stretching back towards Coleman. So this whole zone across northeast Alabama, again, had the storms earlier, ate up some of the energy, stabilized the atmosphere here. So I think we're going to be hard-pressed to see this hold together as it moves east into Sand Mountain. And we're maybe already starting to see the beginnings of that happening. With that said, here's your severe thunderstorm watch. Again, the Tennessee counties were dropped. I think next up will be parts of northwest Alabama will be dropped from the watch. And if the storms, as they continue to come east of I-65, continue to look like they do now and maybe fall apart, you know, it's possible the watch may be canceled early, but we've only got 90 minutes left on it. So even if the severe weather threat looks like it's going to subside as that band of storms moves into Sand Mountain, the watch will probably just be allowed to expire at 11 as it stands. Just another quick look here. There you see the view of the storms, heavy rainfall, thunder and lightning. That's kind of the extent of it. Maybe some gusty wind still. Not seeing any appreciable hail signatures showing up here out of any of this, so large hail. Not seeing that. And as we take a look here at wind shear or any areas of rotation in the atmosphere associated with our severe thunderstorm warning area, nothing showing up. So I think it's pretty much about as bad as it's going to get as it stands right now. And likely it's going to get better with time. As again, leading edge of the storm, really kind of ragged looking. Let me take you back in time and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So back when it was here in the northwest corner of the state, right here, it was fairly well organized, had much more lightning, had a couple areas where it looked like it was bowing out, producing some wind. We did have a wind gust in Cherokee of 45 mile per hour reported. A few reports of some power outages, some trees, power lines down in the Mount Hope community. That's in western Lawrence County outside of Moulton as the storms kind of rolled through there. And those were fairly stout. You can see here there's kind of a surge. This little surge here as it approached Moulton probably was the result of some strong wind. But now the leading edge of this band of storms is really looking kind of ragged. So we will see what happens with this. If a downstream warning is issued, and if there's and this actually is almost to the edge of the warning polygon here from Decatur down towards Falkville, Lacon area. They are going to issue a downstream severe thunderstorm warning, so that is going to be coming out. Again, looking kind of ragged, but it looks like another downstream warning. It probably is going to include Madison and Huntsville, and it may extend as far east as western Marshall County. That would be my guess. So they are going to put out another severe thunderstorm warning for this. But again, overall, the structure of this line, it's not looking super impressive, but we'll wait. We'll wait and see how it is extended and what areas are covered. Again, the main threat out of this is going to be some wind, 50, maybe up to 60 miles per hour. I don't think we're going to see anything stronger than that at this point in time. There's no large hail that's showing up in the storm, and I'm just not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any tornado potential just based on what I'm seeing right here. I think that is the least of our concerns, that there's going to be any sort of tornado threat. But it does look like a new severe thunderstorm warning is going to be drawn up. So with that in mind, if you're in the warning area and as the storm comes through, just shelter in place inside. middle of your home. Stay away from windows. Again, I don't think we'll have anything more significant than some wind, 50, maybe up to 60 miles per hour, as this continues to come on through. But again, the leading edge of the storm is looking a bit ragged, not super well defined, but there could be, within this heavier rainfall and frequent lightning, there could be a couple pockets where we do have some stronger wind that could occur, but I don't think that will be on a widespread scale. Decatur, again, you're right in the thick of it right now. Let me pull up our camera, see what it's looking like there in Decatur. Very heavy rainfall, you see that coming on down. Probably going to see some occasional lighting up of the sky here in Decatur. So very heavy rain. There you see some lightning. Watching the tree here. Don't really see it moving, so it would appear we don't have anything real strong wind-wise, at least in this shot in downtown Decatur for the moment. But certainly a lot of rain, some lightning. It's probably a little noisy in Decatur right now. And again, there could be a few pockets of some stronger wind. Let's see what we've got here with the radar. Latest look here at 31 triple Doppler. And again, we do expect new severe thunderstorm warnings going to be issued for basically the leading edge here, which is now near Hartselle towards Decatur. And you see the heavy rain in Decatur. It's a little more electrical down towards Hartselle. And again, within all of this could be some pockets where we have some heavier rainfall. But in general, the severe weather potential is, I think, dropping as this heads east across North Alabama. The wider view here, let me find a bigger picture for you. Let's just be a different look. So this is kind of what we're looking at here. North Alabama, let me pull the lightning off, it'll be a little easier to see things. North Alabama is kind of at the eastern and northern extent of a fairly extensive line of storms. It starts here, arcs back through Tuscaloosa towards Jackson, Mississippi, back into parts of the Arklatex there along the Arkansas-Louisiana border, even into eastern Oklahoma. And this entire line is going to continue to surge and develop off to the south and to the east. So we're kind of at the northeasternmost extent of this line coming through. There's another band of showers you see stretching here from Atlanta along the I-20 corridor. These have developed along the rain-cooled air that surged away from earlier storms here in North Georgia and back into northeastern Alabama. So that's kind of the focus for that. And again, tells me that the atmosphere is relatively stable here over the northeast corner of the state. So as these storms continue to progress east of I-65 here in North Alabama, they may have some difficulty kind of holding together. Still waiting on that new severe thunderstorm warning to be drawn up. And there it is. So again, they've just kind of drawn this out, big old warning. But again, the storm's losing its organization here around I-65. There might be some pockets of heavier wind with it, but I think it's going to have trouble maintaining its structure, and especially as it makes its way into Sand Mountain, potential that it's going to be a big severe weather producer, I think is going to be fairly low. But nonetheless, big warning. Goes until 10:30, so this will go through our 10 o'clock newscast. You know, just kind of hunker down till the storm has passed. Like I said, I really don't think we have a big threat for widespread severe weather coming on through. Again, a few pockets of wind. Even here, what I'm seeing on the wind velocity is not incredibly concerning. Certainly nothing that looks like it's spinning, so that's good news. So we'll continue to watch this coming on through. Let me take a look here at some comments, and then I am going to have to shut the live stream down as we get ready for our 10 o'clock newscast. But let me just roll through some of the Facebook comments. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, Rex in Somerville, heavy rain right now, thunder and lightning. And hopefully that's the worst that you're going to get there in Somerville, is that. Switch pages. Okay, someone southwest of Decatur. Yeah, and that's something to consider. That you know, we've had a lot of rain. The ground's fairly saturated, and when that's the case, it doesn't take quite as strong of wind to bring down trees. When you know the root systems are kind of compromised because of soggy ground. So, and good advice. Took the kids inner area of the house. Yeah, absolutely, and that's. You know, that would be my advice. Middle of the house, stay away from windows. And in the most part, you're going to be able to ride out this storm. And as far as wind doing structural damage, I don't think we're going to have wind that's strong enough to do that. But bring a tree down on a house, and again, that's a whole different story. Raining like crazy at West Point. It's in Coleman County. Shannon wanting to know any of rain on the backside have lightning. Yes, there is still some lightning occurring back in the bigger rain shield. You know, it's not going to be prolific. It's not going to be frequent like what we have in the heavier storm zone. But so will still be some lightning that will continue even on the trailing rain back to the west. All right, with that said, one last thing I'm going to do here. Let's track this all out. Let me double check on the speed. Again, winds up to 60, the main threat. Looks like it's picked up some speed. We're seeing this line now moving east about 50 miles per hour. Let's bump it up to 45 on the track. And we will track it from just outside of Athens across Morgan County. That should fill out the warning polygon pretty good. 10:04 now, downtown Huntsville. Again, it looks like it's picked up a little bit of forward speed, particularly the southern part of the line. I think it's moving a little bit faster than the northern extent, so that may be a little bit too quick for Huntsville. But if you are over here towards Gunnersville, Boaz now looks like could be arriving 10:15 to 10:30 time frame. DeKalb County, the Crossville area around 10:40. And Scottsboro right now, estimated time of arrival of this band of heavier thunderstorm activity, around 10:44. Again, the threat is wind. That's it. There's no hail. I've not been noting any areas of potential rotation, so I think the likelihood of a quick spin up is also extremely low. And the possibility for some pockets of stronger wind, 50, 60 miles per hour, that would be pretty isolated in nature, but won't rule it out as this tracks through Morgan, parts of Madison County, mostly from central and southern Madison County, and on into Marshall and parts of DeKalb, as well as Jackson County. And the threat will likely continue to slowly wane as this moves eastward, as we started to cool the atmosphere a little bit. And again, this area in the northeast corner of the state had big storms earlier that kind of sucked up some of the energy. So with that, I'm going to step away. Of course, we're going to have a full update coming up on your newscast in just a few minutes. Latest with Future Radar, an update on what is expected for Memorial Day plans tomorrow. And we'll continue to monitor the storms. You know, I'm going to be here watching the radar until it looks like we're done. And I don't think we're not going to carry this over late into the overnight hours. If anything, I'd say within the next hour. This is pretty well going to be winding itself down. But anyway, we're going to keep an eye on it for you. Again, a full forecast update coming up on WAAY 31 News at 10 o'clock. We'll see you in just a few minutes.